Why did Dad ever support someone like you? You're completely useless, a total waste of space. You are fired as of today. Get out of the company now. I was suddenly called in and hit with this unreasonable notice of termination. Why did it come to this? When I told my wife, disheartened, she just smirked in a way that seemed almost sinister. That company is finished now. My name is David, and I'm 40 years old. I had the fortune of working at a major publishing company. I lost my father when I was young, and my mother raised me on her own. Being poor, I loved reading books at the library, where I practically lived. Books introduced me to various worlds and took me on countless adventures. I've always aspired to be an author, to create such worlds myself. I tried to enter competitions as a student but never even came close. I lacked literary talent, and I couldn't afford the luxury of chasing a writer's dream. This was especially true after losing my mother in middle school. Living with relatives on a temporary basis until high school graduation, I felt out of place and spent as much time as possible at the library. Upon graduating from high school, I had to move out, which meant giving up on going to college and finding a job instead. I wanted a job related to books, even if I couldn't write novels. Perhaps I could support those who did. Job options for a high school graduate were limited. It was during this anxious job hunting phase that President Parker, the current president, reached out to me. We often met at the library, discussing books and sharing recommendations. One day, he said, "You are always here. Do you love books that much?" I've always loved books and even aspired to be a writer. Have you given up on being a writer? I hadn't given up the dream of being a writer, but I told President Parker about my family's poverty, my mother's death, living with relatives, and the necessity to find a job instead of going to college. If you must work instead of pursuing further studies, how about trying for an interview at my company? We normally look for college graduates, so it might be tough for a high school grad like you, but someone with your passion could make it. All I can offer is to make an interview slot available for you. What do you say? I'll do it. Please give me the opportunity. I jumped at the offer immediately. A chance to work at a major publishing house as a high school graduate was unthinkable. If this opportunity doesn't work out, I'm willing to do any kind of field work. I didn't want to waste this chance and approached the interview with full determination. That's how I joined a company, working as an editor for 25 years since I was 18. Now, I manage several popular authors, and although I feel sorry for my wife Sarah, I find my work fulfilling. Sarah's understanding of my job is something I'm grateful for, and it's her support that allows me to devote so much to my work. Though I wish I could spend more time with our 3-year-old son, Tyler. President Parker, who had been in poor health for some time, passed away. Losing President Parker, who had been like a father to me since the day he gave me a chance after our conversation in the library, was unbearable for me. Thanks to his guidance, both strict and kind, I, a high school graduate, was able to perform on par with college graduates as an editor and as a person. I owe my current position of handling many authors to President Parker. Among them, taking charge of the company's leading author and literary giant, Mr. Anderson, was a source of pride for me. Mr. Anderson was challenging to work with, leading many editors to be reassigned quickly. President Parker, my predecessor, had a relationship with him, and they used to call each other comrades rather than friends. When I was assigned Mr. Anderson, I felt recognized by President Parker, and it was an incredibly proud moment for me. Though I felt a huge void in my heart from losing President Parker, who I regarded as a father figure and to whom I owed so much, work still wouldn't wait for me. Do you think he'd want you to stop here? Pull yourself together. You won't do him any honor like this. Mr. Anderson also said the same and gave me a pat on the back. There are readers waiting for our authors' works, and the authors are working hard to meet those expectations. I can't afford to stand still. President Parker's passing has left more than just me in despair. His amiable nature had won him the love of many, and his sudden death has deeply affected not only the employees but also many of our affiliated authors. During this time, Alex Parker took over as the new president. Alex, the only son of the previous president, and to me, he's like a younger brother, though we are years apart. Ever since President Parker took me under his wing, I've been invited to dine with the Parker family numerous times and have shared meals with Alex. President Parker used to say, "Broadening your horizons is crucial for an editor. Spend some time with my son too," and he would take us to various places to hang out. Alex, with his impeccable manners and charm, didn't seem like a typical heir, and he grew fond of me, calling me Big Brother. President Parker, Alex, and his wife were like a second family to me. After graduating from college, Alex spent a few years working in a different field under the guise of training to learn the basics of management. Knowing that Alex was coming to the company to take over as president brought me relief. I was also happy to see Alex again and was looking forward to working together. I hadn't been in touch with him since he graduated from college. I wonder how he has grown. However, I was shocked to find that the Alex I knew had changed completely. He became tyrannical, lashing out at subordinates unjustly, and was quick to terminate contracts with authors whose sales dipped even slightly. He adopted a short-sighted sales-first philosophy, only aiming for blockbuster hits. "This book isn't selling well. Who wrote this? We don't need such people in my company. Cancel the contract." But President Parker, this book was just released recently, and the author has produced numerous hits before. Shut up. What does it matter if they were successful before? It's meaningless if they are not selling now. We can afford to keep underperforming authors. Cancel the contract immediately. The company's atmosphere became tense, and the employees couldn't hide their unease. Then, one day, I was summoned to Alex's office. "Hey, do you even care about your job? Just because you have one best-selling author doesn't mean you can get cocky." As soon as I entered the room, Alex slammed his desk, intimidating everyone around. "I'm doing everything I can. What's gotten into you, Alex? Why have you changed like this? I'm not the same person I used to be. Don't call me casually. I'm the president," Alex screamed, his face turning red. "I never liked you to begin with. Just because my dad favored you, you think you can act like a big brother. That was never my intention. Look at this. The only author under your charge who's selling well is Mr. Anderson. What are the other authors doing? What's the point of having editors?" Alex tossed the sales report at me as if discarding it. "True, Mr. Anderson is a big seller, but that doesn't mean the others aren't selling. Every author has their fans, and that's why we've come this far. If they're not selling like Mr. Anderson, what kind of authors are they? Making dull stuff interesting is the editor's job. If the author's work is boring, it's up to you to tweak it and make it sellable. Weren't you an aspiring author? That would no longer make it the author's work." I was at a loss. Authors exist because of their fans. If we, as editors, start meddling too much, we'll leave the fans behind. "Don't you dare instruct me. You're a mere high school graduate. What do you know? Even if we collaborate on creating a work, altering it without the author's consent is never permissible. Have you forgotten the principles of your predecessor? Didn't Alex still respect his father, President Parker, as a son, did he? I couldn't tell. Something had changed him beyond my understanding. I'm the president now. My father is no longer here. You've got some nerve defying me, a mere high school grad." Alex wouldn't even look at me anymore. "No matter what you say, I won't alter the works. The predecessor treasured the author's originality above all, and I believe that collaborating while preserving that integrity is the editor's role." I appealed to Alex with a glimmer of hope, believing that President Parker would never have wanted the works altered. "Why did my dad ever support someone like you? You're just incompetent trash, and you're fired as of today. Get out of the company now." I never expected to leave on such bad terms and was deeply disheartened. Was I too naive to think we could understand each other if we just talked? Dwelling on it won't change anything. Being fired is a fact that won't change no matter how much I think about it. I have a family to consider. I gathered my belongings and left the company. "I'm home, Sarah. I'm sorry to spring this on you, but I have something to tell you." "Welcome back. Oh my, you look pale. What happened?" As soon as I got home, I confided everything to my wife. She listened intently to the end, comforted me, and made some coffee. Even in such times, my wife remained kind and understanding, and her gentleness felt more profound than ever, given my disappointment with Alex's transformation. Yet, curiously, my wife had a mischievous smile on her face. "Het, that company is done for. David, you'll be busy again soon, so let's take it easy for a bit. Don't worry, everything will be fine," she said before leaving the room to make a phone call. A few days later, I received a call from Alex. "Hey, David, what do you think you're doing? Is this some kind of revenge? This is why high school grads are incompetent." It seemed that the authors I was responsible for had initiated a collective boycott, causing significant disruptions to the company's operations. And the ringleader appeared to be Mr. Anderson, the literary giant I had been managing. Of course, I had no knowledge of this. My wife, sitting across from me, smiled triumphantly. Mr. Anderson, the company's flagship author, is a living legend whose works will be celebrated for centuries, thanks to his numerous awards, including the Nobel Prize. His influence among authors is immeasurable. With Mr. Anderson leading the charge, the uproar was significant, and the boycott quickly became a hot topic in the media. However, the boycott wasn't just due to Mr. Anderson's influence. The alterations Alex had instructed in the work were exposed to both the author and the readers after publication. Every author has their fans, and fans can tell when a work has been altered. "I read your new work. You've changed your style quite a bit, haven't you? I preferred your previous style." In this era of social media, such direct feedback from readers can make authors suspicious. One by one, the alterations came to light, and the uninformed authors were furious, leading to a massive scandal for the company. Not only did the authors lose faith in Alex's company, but so did the readers, resulting in the company's bankruptcy and its eventual absorption by a larger entity. Alex was forced to resign, and all executives involved in the alterations were dismissed, left to fend for themselves. A few days after the scandal, I visited Mr. Anderson's home. "Mr. Anderson, I can't thank you enough for everything." "What are you talking about? Even without my intervention, that company would have collapsed sooner or later. I just added a bit of flair to the proceedings. More importantly, you're an exceptional editor who has always worked with the same passion for books as the authors themselves, regardless of our familial connection. Any company foolish enough to fire you is making a big mistake." And there's my father-in-law, Mr. Anderson, laughing heartily. "It's been 15 years since I joined the company, and 10 years since I became Mr. Anderson's handler. Even on that day, Mr. Anderson praised me just like this. David, how long has it been since you became my editor? It's been 10 years. I've learned so much from you, Mr. Anderson." "Is that so? You've always been so humble. I have a serious proposal for you, and I won't force you, but please give it some thought." And that's how I was introduced to Mr. Anderson's daughter, my now wife, Sarah. He saw potential in me as a marriage partner based on my character and work ethic. Although we were only slightly acquainted through my visits to their home, a 5-year courtship followed, leading to our marriage. On the day I was fired, the person my wife was calling was none other than Mr. Anderson. She had been consulting with her father about the company's internal affairs, which I had shared with her. and Mr. Anderson had been concerned about the company's future ever since the predecessor's passing. As a result, the company's disregard for its authors became public, and Alex was forced to resign, leading to the company's bankruptcy. After the scandal, I became the president of the merged company, thanks to Mr. Anderson's strong recommendation. I'm navigating through each day with little understanding of management, constantly learning and keeping busy. Thanks to my diligent and honest work ethic, I've earned considerable trust from the offers I've managed so far and am gradually regaining my former self. We're also focusing on training new recruits to prevent past mistakes. Despite the overwhelming workload, I find fulfillment in facing this critical juncture. One day, a subordinate rushed into my office. "President Johnson, among the job applicants, it seems Alex was among those scheduled for an interview in a few days." "Alex, all right, I'll talk to him." "Really? After everything he did? Are you sure?" "It's okay. He's actually the son of the former president, Mr. Parker, and was raised almost like a brother by him. There must have been some reason for that incident. I'll go and have a proper talk with him, and I'll take responsibility for his actions." Despite the criticism and my employees' apprehension, I decided to conduct a one-on-one interview with Alex. I was concerned about Alex and wanted to have a proper conversation with him. On the day of the interview, Alex appeared as he used to be. "David, I'm truly sorry for what happened, and thank you for giving me this opportunity." "Well, there must have been some circumstances I'm not aware of, Alex. Sit down, let's talk." Alex shared his story in bits and pieces. While on assignment, he was entrusted with a crucial project and worked tirelessly with a colleague to ensure its success. However, on the day of the project, a mistake by his colleague led to the loss of critical data, and despite their best efforts to recover it, the project ended in failure. The colleague, who was a distant relative of the company's president Williams, shifted all the blame onto Alex, leaving him with no place in the company. Then came the news of his father's passing. The project's failure had already eroded Alex's confidence, and he found himself unable to trust anyone, making the prospect of taking over the company daunting. Nevertheless, he felt he couldn't let his father's company fail and became obsessed with chasing numbers. "I now realize how foolish I was, and I said terrible things to you, David." Seeing Alex talk through tears brought me a bit of relief. His core character hadn't changed. "Alex, I'm glad you opened up. What you did was inexcusable, but years have passed since then, and Alex is now a vibrant part of our company." Together, we apologized to the employees and authors multiple times, gradually regaining their trust. Alex was always a sincere and diligent young man. It wasn't too difficult for him to regain trust with his work ethic and honesty, even though it took some time. After that interview, Alex and I spent a lot of time catching up. Memories of growing up like siblings, thoughts of the departed predecessor, and considerations for the future. In our lengthy conversations, I realized how much I had been supported by those around me, including what I had received from the late President Parker. Now it was my turn to give back to Alex, to support him through whatever comes our way. "Alex, I want to pass on what I received from the predecessor through you. No matter what, I'm on your side. If you ever have any trouble, don't hesitate to talk to me." We took advantage of Alex's secondment experience, and he is now managing the company's operations, not as an editor. He actively sought input from younger employees, and under his influence, our company's performance has continued to rise in a struggling publishing industry. This success is something neither the predecessor nor I could have achieved alone. It's thanks to the fresh perspective Alex brought to the company. Our performance has significantly improved since Alex joined us. It's not just my achievement. The groundwork was laid by you and Dad, which made this possible. Now, without a father, Alex and I support each other like real brothers, running the company together. At first, people said I was too kind-hearted for putting up with someone like that, and it seemed like Alex was severely scolded by Mr. Anderson as well. You can regain the trust you've lost, no matter how long it takes. Remember, your actions don't just affect you, but also David, who took you in. I'm watching, Mr. Anderson said with a strict yet kind gaze. These years have been full of various events, but they've also been a time when I truly felt blessed by the people around me. My parents, who raised me with all their might despite being poor, and President Parker, who took me in and raised me after my parents passed away. And even after becoming independent, I met my mentor Mr. Anderson and was able to be with Sarah, who has always been devotedly supportive. I've been supported by the employees and authors, which helped me get this far. Alex certainly made an unforgivable mistake, but would he have erred in such a way if it weren't for his experiences at the assignment location? However, it's also true that he was able to grow from that incident. Yet, that incident also led to growth and was a turning point for the company. We might have lost trust once, but now we continue to lead in the publishing industry. Am I doing enough to repay President Parker? Recently, thanks to Alex's enthusiastic work, I've been able to spend more time with my family at home. David, you've worked hard enough. Now it's my turn to step up. Are you sure? Don't overdo it. Oh dear, if you worry that much. It seems like you don't trust Alex, does it? But Alex has got this now. Let's go. Right. Don't worry. I'll call if anything happens. The team you've built is capable. Time for some family service. Today, we're off on a family vacation, thanks to Alex and the team who made sure I could take some time off. All right, I'm leaving things in your hands for a while. See you soon. Living honestly and with integrity has brought me this far. Grasping my family's hands, I cherished the blessings in my life.